All right. So this class is about learning compound sentences and complex sentences in an easier way. All right. Okay, fine. It is downloading. Maybe we can understand. Okay. So this is about compound and complex sentences, but in an easier way. All right. You're not going to be focusing upon how to actually create a compound and a complex sentence. Okay, because normally when you are writing, you do make compound and complex sentences intentionally or unintentionally. So, what we are going to do, we need to learn how to actually punctuate them properly. All right. So, you need to understand that whenever you take out the content points, if you remember evaluation number one and evaluation number two, do you remember this about? Great. So, whenever you are joining these points together to form a paragraph, evaluation one is to be created into second paragraph. Evaluation number two is to be created into third paragraph, right? So whenever you are joining all the, just for example, evaluation number one is advantages. So whenever you are joining all the advantages together and you are forming a paragraph, you obviously join sentences together, right or wrong? So if, please remember, if the points are related to each other, all right, मतलब similar tone and similar understanding of the sentences. If the two sentences are very similar to each other and they are the connected ones, all right. So don't use any punctuation between. Just put a comma in between. Okay, okay. But if you think that they are two different point of views, although from advantages, but two different point of views, all right. So what you can do two things here. Number one, either put a semicolon in between. Actually, they are called independent clauses. Okay, but I'm not going to go into a lot of details right now because it will create a lot of problems while understanding with the terminologies. So independent clauses, dependent clauses, and then compound synthesis, complex synthesis. There's a lot of problems for the students. So what I am telling you is whenever you are joining two advantages or disadvantages, joining them together, and if they are two different point of views as an advantage, two different point of views, okay, they are both are meaningful sentences, both are sensible sentences, all right. So when you are joining them together, you can put a semicolon in between. Please confirm if you've understood this. That's great. Now, the second thing that you need to understand, what if there is a transitional word in between, like however, moreover, furthermore, additionally, transitional word. Okay. If there is a transitional word in between those two sentences, if you are making a sentence and using a transitional word, then you cannot use semicolon alone. Okay. What you need to do, semicolon and then transitional word and then a comma after it. Please tell me if you understood this or not. Will on the other hand count? Yes. Okay, I'm going to be sending you the list of connectives as well, but I'm not going to send it to you. You need to look at it in the booklet. Okay, the booklet has each and everything is in it. So on the other hand, however, moreover, therefore, similarly, these are all connectives. All right. So I repeat again, just for you to understand it more, and please note down each and everything I'm teaching you. Okay, because जो आपको मैंने भेजा है document इसमें थोड़ा सा it is difficult to understand. Obviously, it has some examples and all. So I'm teaching you in a very easy manner right now that whenever you are joining two advantages or disadvantages together, okay, or an advantage or a disadvantage can also be joined, okay, by putting a however in between, okay. So whenever you are joining two sentences together to form one sentence, there are two things you can do. Number one, if you are using a transitional word in between, like however, moreover, therefore, you need to put a semicolon, then transitional word, then must, there should be a comma. Okay, that's a rule. And if you are not using transitional word in between, so you can put a semicolon directly. That's it. Acha. Now you need to go to the examples, please. Okay. In examples, you can see number one. It says the storm was getting worse, semicolon. Therefore, comma, we decided to stay indoors. All right. The storm was getting worse is a different sentence. We decided to stay indoors. That's a different sentence, although they are connected, but they have their own meaning. Okay, so these are called independent clauses. Independent clauses are when the sentence is sensible, it has their own, it has its own meaning, it can stand on its own. All right. So when we are joining two of these independent clauses together, easy way with to advantage or to disadvantage or advantage disadvantage. So you put a semicolon, transitional word, and a comma. Understood? And if you are not putting therefore, so how do you make it? The storm was getting worse, semicolon. We decided to stay indoors. These are the two things that you can do. Either your choice. Please confirm me if you've understood this clearly. Great. Now there is a bit of a twist. Easy to remember, easy to understand, but you need to remember this. If a transitional word that you are using in between is a fanboys. So what are fanboys, Jawad? You need to write it down, please. Okay, fanboys is actually an abbreviation sort, okay, of F for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. So whenever you have these seven conjunctions or transitional word in between, with that you cannot put a semicolon at all. Okay, that's a rule. Okay, so what I tell my students, मैंने आपको बता तो दिया. So what I tell my students to make it easy for them, avoid using fanballs. वैसे ही बहुत simple, they are very simple conjunctions and connections, right? So avoid using them. Don't use but or so. Don't use them. Okay? Use good transitional connectives, transitional words or connectives. Okay, that are actually that are going to impress the examiner as well. So use them, however, moreover, therefore. Okay, so instead of so, you can use similarly, right? So there are so many different other words instead of these seven simple conjunctions. So avoid them. That will put confusion in array. You don't have any confusion that I need to put a semicolon or not. It creates a lot of confusion in students, right? So two things to remember. Either you are using a transitional word, okay? So put a semicolon, transitional word, and a comma. Otherwise, if you're not using a transitional word, simple semicolon. Now, you need to understand, Jawad, that this will really give you a lot of marks. Okay, if you are using at least one semicolon in a paragraph and you are creating three paragraphs in the body part, don't don't do anything with introduction and conclusion. Okay, introduction and conclusion is a part of a format. Okay, and they don't give you any marks for introduction and conclusion. Okay, they give you marks for the content, and content lies in between second, third, and the fourth paragraph. These are evaluation number one, evaluation number two, advantages or disadvantages, either, and opinions. Okay, so इस पे marks मिलते हैं. You will get marks for these three paragraphs. So what you need to do, you don't need to worry about introduction. So if you are going to use at least one semicolon in second and one in third and one in fourth, examiner will get impressed and examiner will definitely give you good marks for this. You understand this word? That's great. Okay, this is what we have learned for compound sentences. Semicolon, right? If if you try to understand that as we are joining two sentences together, compound के लिए what we have understood that we are joining two sentences together that are independent clauses. They have their meaning of its own. They can stand on their own. So when they were joined, you can use a semicolon. This is what we have already learned. But if as both of these sentences may एक sentence is an independent clause and the other sentence is a dependent clause, it means the dependent clause cannot stand on its own. They have to depend upon the independent clause previously. So if the sentence is having an independent clause and a dependent clause, so you cannot put a semicolon, you just put a comma there. Okay, so you don't need to worry about this now. What we need to understand is that how to impress the examiner and how to put a semicolon. And this is what you should do. At least one semicolon to join two sentences together. Okay, one or two, it depends. All right. But I would suggest you note it down. I would suggest you that you should show it to the examiner that I know the rule. How? That put a semicolon without transition word, and in one sentence put a semicolon with transition word and a comma afterward. So the examiner will get so impressed that uh, examiner will understand that you know the rule. Okay? Do you understand this about? That's great. Rutaba, hello, how are you?
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Rutaba, you are late. Okay, I'm not going to be repeating everything because I'm already recording the class. You can see the recording. Okay,
All right.
please join the class on time, Bache. All right, Rutaba, just to let you know that we have actually learned how to use a semicolon in between two sentences. Okay, so this is very important for you to understand. Please listen to the recording whenever I am going to be uploading it on YouTube. Okay, I'll mention it to you so you can go and see the recording. All right.
All right, sir.
Uh, all right. Can you please go to the next page? Okay, Rataba, can you please look at the content and find out complex and compound sentences, please?
So, sir, your voice is not clear.
Is it clear now?
Better.
Okay. Rataba, can you please look at the content and go to complex and compound sentences from booklet?
All right.
Jawad, you need to come to the practice sentences, please. Jawad, you need to come to the document that I've sent you, that's on page number 4. Tomorrow, Jawad, page number 4. That's part B, compound sentence practice. Exercise number 5. Have you taken it out, Jawad? And Rutaba? Okay, that's great. Uh, so should I tell you the? Okay, you've taken it out. Rutaba, you need to go to part B, compound sentence practice, exercise number 5. If you find out, please give me a thumbs up so that we can move on. Okay, great. Uh, Jawad, you know the rule? Okay, you need to put a transitional word in between two sentences. All right. Um, Jawad, by the meantime you are doing this exercise, I'll try to describe Rutaba. Rutaba, do you have any? Rutaba, can you please open your mic and speak? Okay. Rutaba, do you have any idea about independent clauses?
They're about.
Independent clauses.
Sir, I have read about it, but I can't
Okay, great.
exactly
No,
remember.
no issue. Okay, we are not going to go into a lot of uh, details related to independent and dependent clauses. Okay, we need to make it as easy as possible for you to understand. Okay.
Alright.
Do you remember evaluation 1 and evaluation 2?
Yes,
Good. So for evaluation 1, you read the passage and take out
the points.
the points. Okay. And then when you are forming these points into paragraph, what do? You join all the points together and form a paragraph, right or wrong?
Yes.
Good. So what you need to do, therefore, the main intention behind everything and the main intention behind our efforts is to impress the examiner, right?
Yes.
And to show it to the examiner that we know how to punctuate sentences. Right now, we
Hmm.
need to learn semicolon. Okay? For semicolon, what you need to do, you need to pick any two advantages or disadvantages, whatever. Okay, any 2 points that are actually connected. Of course, they are advantages, they are connected to each other, but they must be independent clauses. What are independent clauses? The clauses that can stand on their own, they have their own meaning. All right.
Alright.
So, if you look at the examples that you are doing right now, number 1, it was raining. We continued with the picnic. You see the sentence? It
Yes.
was raining. That's an independent clause. They can stand on their own. We continued with
Hmm.
the picnic. Although they are related, although they are related because the continuation of picnic depended on the raining. But if we say we continued with the picnic, we don't need to go into a lot of details while we read the sentence, right? So there are two independent clauses. Understood? They have their own meaning. Okay.
Mm.
So when we are joining two independent clauses, आपके लिए to understand when we are joining two advantages that can stand on their own and they have their own meaning. आसान जबान में what you need to do, you need to find out advantages that are different, that they are in different league. They are different from each other. Okay. So we need to join them together. There are two rules to join. Okay. Number one, either you put a semicolon between them, that's it. For example,
Mm.
it was raining, semicolon, we continued with the picnic. You get it?
Yes.
That's the first rule. Second rule, if you want to use a transitional word or a connective in between, if you want to, you can. What you need to do, you need to put a semicolon, then transitional word, then comma. That's it. It was raining, semicolon. Nevertheless, comma, we continued with the picnic. Do you understand this, Utaba?
Yes.
Okay, can you please write down the notes? Acha, please remember never to use fanboys in between because this will confuse you. Because whenever there are fanboys, तो आपको
Mm.
you cannot use semicolon. ठीक है? अब इतनी डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत ही क्या है? Why don't we stop using fanboys? I see that they are very simple conjunctions, right? They must not
Alright.
be used. So avoid using fanboys. You know fanboys, right?
Yes.
Okay, so avoid using but or so. They are very simple conjunctions. Avoid using them. There is no confusion for semicolon. Okay, so remember this these two rules. What you must do is use a semicolon without a transition word in second paragraph, and in second paragraph use a semicolon with transition word in a comma. ये दो चीजें second paragraph में भी, you're going to use it in the third paragraph as well. You're going to use it in the fourth paragraph. You will impress the examiner and telling you an examiner is going to be so happy and giving you so many marks. Remember, I told you that one of my students got 50 out of 50 in writing. I am going to show you the paper that she has done, and she has remembered each and everything that I taught her. And see the result. The result is full marks. All right.
Alright.
Do you understand this, guys? Both of you, please give me a thumbs up. That's great. Thank you so much. All right. Now, we are going to do one by one. So what says, sir, if we use, like, uh, sir, if we use fanboys, you will not get extra credit. See, I did not say that examiner is going to deduct points. What I am saying is, if you are going to use fanboys, you cannot put a semicolon with it. All right? So it is difficult to remember so many rules, right? English is getting so difficult by these rules. Why don't we make our life very easy? Avoid using fanboys, no tension at all for using of semicolon. आराम से semicolon भी use करो, impress the examiner, get extra credit. If you are going to use fanboys, your answer is you are going to use fanboys. It's not like that you're not going to get extra credit. Sorry, you are not going to get credit. You are going to be credited with marks, but extra credit के लिए you need to put uh, uh, you need to put complex punctuation that there are semicolons and colons. अभी हम colon भी सीखेंगे. I hope you have understood this. So, okay, right now we are going to practice. We are going to be looking at the sentences together. Okay, Jawad, can you please do the first one? I'm going to ask you different things. Okay, can you please do the first one without any transitional word in between? If you have issues with the mic, you can write it in the chat box, or you can just turn on the mic and speak. Rutaba, you are going to do the second one with transitional word in between. Both of you, can you please write down and send it to me on the word in the chat? In the chat. Okay, Shiva says it was raining. We continued with the picnic. Superb. That is without transition word. And Rutaba says he studied all night. Semicolon. Therefore, comma. He passed the exam. Superb. Very nice, guys. Okay. Now, Jawad, you will do number 3 with a transition word, and Rutaba, you will do number 4 without a transition word. Okay, Rutaba says you need to practice more. Semicolon, you won't improve. Very nice, good, and it teaches you a lot, isn't it? It is for you guys to understand. You need to practice more, then you will improve. Perfect. Shiva says you need to practice, otherwise you won't improve. Okay, you were supposed to do number 3, but that's completely fine. You need to do practice, otherwise you won't improve. Perfect. So see, both of these sentences that you have made, Rutaba and Shiva, they both are correct when they are punctuated properly. Okay? So the best, easiest way possible to understand this at the end right now is focus. You need to practice more. You need to remove this sentence and put an advantage that you have taken out for the evaluation. You won't improve, remove this sentence and put another advantage that you have taken out for the evaluation. Two advantages with a semicolon or two advantages with a semicolon, transitional word and a comma. Perfect, will give you marks. That is the most easiest way to understand using semicolons for the English 1123 for sure, not like common उसमें for English 1123 to impress the examiner, and you have learned this. Perfect, understood?